Okay, another tutorial. This is a little bit to do this, a little bit of the hint. I've heard some people like this could be used for many. Yeah, then it comes back to the idea of symmetry. I seen, I don't know if it was Damien trying to do this from a box. There's a little bit more of a, probably you have to think of a origin point for each of the models. In this case, like many other ones, like the probably the Delphin or many other ones that are symmetrical organic forms, you should start with the idea of symmetry that we did for the alien, as you remember. So what I'm going to do is create a box. It sends a box in the middle, and you know perfectly because in polygon primitives in create, it's not checked here, so we have a single simple box. What I'm going to do is basically um, go to edit mass and insert edge loop. From now on, I'm going to do the famous select the object, and I'm going to do shift right click and insert edge loop, but in this case it's going to be options. Okay, and the options, I'm going to do multiple edges in one, so that allows me to create a one edge loop around, but exactly in the center. No, it makes it there perfectly, and now I press Q to get out there and close this guy. Right click and face, and I'm going to delete these faces. Let's go to 5 view, delete, and I know that it's exactly in the center. If it's not in the center, you are in trouble. You should make the box again. By the way, you may have a number of subdivisions. Just take them to 0, and that should be fine. Now, the way to do the symmetrical instance of this, as you probably remember from the alien, is selecting the object, edit, duplicate special options, and instant world, and -1 1 1, depending on how you draw this. You see the Z is here, so I actually want the X to be minus, so that's correct. If not, change the minus to the other, either the Z, which is the last, or the beginning. Okay, apply, and it goes the box there, close. And as you remember now, if we change one, like this point, W to move, and it moves it, no? Control C to go back. I'm going to close this, gonna take it long. Okay, yes, everything is instances that moving. If you move one of the symmetrics, the other one doesn't follow, so you can either select both of them, move it, always related to the axis, or just leave it there in here and just do the legs to the bottom. So if you press 3 for the relax, also the symmetrical, yes, that's the relax. So basically, it's in this case we're only gonna build the two legs that are symmetrical to the axis, and we're gonna deform it a little bit, and then this guy and these guys will be extruded from the combination of the two. So I will actually do this only for the symmetry, and then combine them or make them one object, and then extrude this guy and this guy because they're symmetrical. It makes sense, no? So in that sense, it's, you know, it's loop. So sorry. Control C, object mode, shift right click, edge loop. I'm going to go to options and make it a relative distance from edge to insert a edge loop wherever I want. No, and I'm going to insert one here. And I'm not sure. I mean, I'm not going to get to a very further point. Probably not even going to do that. Just one here. Whatever. I can do one in the middle, I guess. Yeah. Press Q to get out of there. Object mode, select, and now face. Right click face. And I think this is a good point to start taking out one of the legs, which is gonna do the same in the symmetrical. So shift right click, extrude face, take it down, and probably out. And I mean, it's now becomes an issue of inserting edge loops, as you know, in the correct place. Let's say object mode, select the object, insert edge loop, and probably, I don't know, selecting one here and probably one in the bottom area. And like many other projects, Q, select, and start, you know, deforming the points, the edges, to make this thing more exactly to our object. In that sense, I'm not going to get very into detail because it's more of a hint of how you guys can work with this. But I think it's quite clear that you just go to this leg and you make it perfect. This little detail will be done afterwards. You don't want to do it here because you will repeat it this other side. So, and I don't know, like many other things you could do. Of course, select this. Always W, maintain the symmetrical touch. to be aware of that. You have to be aware, and you can go, you know, symmetrical here, and W take it out, and just always check what is happening. You see, for example, here I move this in symmetrical in the 1 mode, not relax. Many not problems, because in the 3 they look okay, but the 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 if the one option looks good, that means that you're doing a great job. If the one option is closer to your image, that means that you're doing well. Now, if you're working too much with the 3, you may end up with pressing 1 and having a total mess here. So you have to be aware of that, okay? To sometimes, always, not sometimes, go back to the 1 and start checking that this is actually looking as your model, okay? So when you press 3 back and say, oh yes, it's following correctly, okay? Okay, so this is the step. I'm not going to do this because it's very intuitive now. What you have to do, you know, you just start moving these guys, probably 2 different positions, so that you have like the shape of that we want, no? You can do all kinds of changes until you get the exact accurate form. This is probably too sharp, so just, you know, get it straight as you want. And you're going to be able to change everything, etc. In many ways, no? But this one back, so it looks a little bit like this. And okay, anyway, that's not the trick. You guys are going to spend the time that you need for this. So what we're going to do now is just select the two of them. This has to be great, has to be perfect, because if you change now, you're going to delete the history, so you won't have the symmetrical attitude anymore. In that sense, you probably want to even save as before you delete the history, which is what I'm going to do now. I'm going to go to edit, delete type history, and what I'm going to do is select one and the other one and say in mesh combine, so they become one object. And now, of course, we want to select the vertex, select the center ones, and shift right click, vertex merge. No? So this is suddenly it's one object, it's not 2 anymore, and you know that the symmetrical is corresponding, it's perfect. So it's as simple now as inserting shift right click its loop, putting probably, I don't know, you have to test this yourself, one around here. I don't know if you want to like scale it or do something with it, you decide. And we need a face in the center, no? Here, probably, I don't know if you want to shift right click, insert an edge loop here and here. I'm not sure about this. Once again, I'm going to explain the logic of this, and you should go more accurate into that. What we need to do is go to edges here and select the middle one and delete, you know, so we have this little guy face in there. So now we can go and select the face that we have deleted and shift right click extrude and just take it out there, and probably down, and W, take it whatever you want. We're going to do similar thing as this one, and like go to the object mode, select insert edge loop, probably one in the bottom and probably one in the top. Now of course this is like horrible, but I think you get the idea of what's going on with this symmetrical versus non-symmetrical to get this right. You will see that this new piece that we're doing here is not as neat as this one. They will have this center line that if you change, it's going to have that kind of a different attitude. So be careful with that. And it's just a matter of, you see there, being aware of all the points correctly and making the perfect section for this till you get your piece done. Okay. And it's all about moving points here and there. The same thing you will do here. Select this edge. Of course, it won't be there. You probably need to insert an edge loop. Select the face and right-click extrude, and you will have this little guy. And probably right there. I mean, I'm not super proud of this, but you know, it's just a matter of knowing where the different points are and doing your studies form here. They're quite adept, so be careful also with the line in the center. That's going to be quite problematic, and you have to just make sure that each of the cuts are according to this shape. I think from this point it's more of a moving vertex and and knowing, you know, this is more circular, so you probably need to insert another edge loop and make it like more like a circle here, and take this lower and span scale until you get the perfect. But I think this is like the logic of symmetry, and then combine, and then you know, extrude the middle points of the face to get the shape. I think it's a great tip for those that have a combination of symmetrical shapes and not symmetrical. Okay, done.